Hey everyone, this is Brian, Topps Vintage 11762. 2 days ago I was reading the news and came across an article about the passing of this guy, Fred Curly Neal. It kind of brought back memories for me as a kid growing up watching the Harlem Globetrotters in the early 70s. I can remember my dad taking me to the Orlando arena back at the time, watching the antics and the humor that these guys brought to many kids back at that time. Curly Neal was born in North Carolina and attended James Dudley High School. He also went on to average 23.1 points a game in that high school. And he also went on to John Smith University in Charlotte. From 1963 to 1985, he played with that famous team, the Harlem Globetrotters, appearing in more than 6,000 games and in 97 countries. His shaved head gave him the nickname Curly Neal, from the Three Stooges' Curly Howard. He appeared with Meadowlark Lemon, Marcus Haynes, and many other greats throughout those years. On January 11, 2008, the Globetrotters announced that Neal's number 22 would be retired in a special ceremony at Madison Square Garden as part of the Curly Neal weekend. Curly Neal was just the fifth Globetrotter in the team's 82-year history to have his number retired, joining Wilt Chamberlain, Meadowlark Lemon, Marcus Haynes, and Goose Tatum. On January 31st, 2008, it was announced that Neal would also be inducted into the North Carolina Sports Hall of Fame. He was granted the Harlem Globetrotters prestigious Legends Ring, which is presented to those with major humanitarian contributions in the organization, and was the second highest honor ever received for a former player. A mural commemorating Neal's achievement, both as a Globetrotter and during his time in Dudley High School, is painted in the basketball gym of the Hayes Taylor Memorial YMCA in Greensboro, North Carolina. He was survived by his 2 daughters, 6 grandchildren, and his fiancée. He died on March 26, 2020, at the age of 77 at his home in Houston. And after reading about that, it kind of got me thinking. I know I had a couple cards of his from when I went to watch them, and I also had a program as well. So I'd like to go through that, a little bit of their history. So hang on. Here's the program I got when I was a kid, watching these guys play in Orlando back in 1972. Within the first cover here, it shows a little bit of the history of when they started. Right here you can see a picture of the first actual team of the Globetrotters, the five-man team that started it all back in 1931. Over here is a picture of one of their more famous theatrical guys, Mr. Meadowlark Lemon, going into the Basketball Hall of Fame. But they had some very talented ball players on this team. At the time that I got this and watched them, they were doing their U.S. tour, but they were also in the middle of going to South America as well as a European tour. And as I said earlier, they traveled all throughout the world, 97 different countries. They had their antics, which were always fun to watch. They were predictable, staged, but they were always fun as a kid growing up. You always enjoyed watching it. The antics of Meadowlark Lemon, always this field director, and Curly Neal, who I mentioned earlier, was basically their main dribbler, passer, whatnot. But they always would play the same team pretty much that traveled with them, so you knew what was coming, but it was always fun to watch them. Here's a roster of the guys that were on the team at the time. And you got Meadowlark and Curly Neal there. Geese Osby, one of the more famous guys on the team as well. And then they carried over these guys. Another some more of their rosters. And as you get further back here, had a nice picture here of Curly Neal. He was definitely one of their more famous players back in that time. But as I mentioned earlier, there were other guys that were on the team that went on to play pro ball as well. And some of those guys being Wilt Chamberlain. Magic Johnson even played a year with him, or played a game with him. Connie Hawkins, Marcus Haynes, and whatnot. But this was the team that I saw that time, that day back in Orlando, 1972, and the memory that I just thought I'd bring to you guys, hoping that some of you all remember this team from back then.
Yes, that was that all right.
Anyways, thanks for watching, and take care and be safe.